Here's a question for you. When was the last time you felt like you could stop? Not just pause between tasks. Actually stop. Without guilt, without the mental ticker tape of everything you should be doing, scrolling through your mind. If you can't remember, you're not alone. We live in the age of optimization. Every moment needs a purpose. Every pause needs productivity. We track our steps, our sleep, our screen time. We hustle, grind, and push through. And when we finally collapse, we call it self-care and schedule that too. But what if the answer to burnout isn't another time management hack or morning routine? What if it's something a Chinese philosopher figured out over 2,000 years ago? His name was Laozi, and his central teaching might sound strange to our modern ears. He said, Wu Wei or Wu Wei. Through non-action, nothing is left undone. Wait, but what? Do nothing and everything gets done? That sounds like terrible advice for anyone trying to meet a deadline or pay rent. But here's what Laozi actually meant. Wu Wei doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing without forcing. It's the difference between pushing a boulder uphill and redirecting a stream. One exhausts you. The other works with natural momentum. Think about the last time you forced something. Maybe you kept working on a problem when your brain was fried. Or you pushed through a conversation that clearly needed space. Or you kept saying yes when your body was screaming no. How did that go? Probably not great. Laozi observed something we keep forgetting. Forcing creates friction, and friction creates heat, and heat burns you out. He also said, Changshan Roshui, the highest good is like water. Water doesn't fight. It doesn't rush uphill trying to prove something. It finds the lowest point, the path of least resistance, and in doing so, it nourishes everything it touches. Now apply that to your work life. You have 15 things on your to-do list. Your instinct is to attack them all at once, to prove you're capable, to show you can handle it. That's the boulder pushing approach. Water would ask which of these actually matters. Which one, if done well, makes the others easier or unnecessary? Water doesn't try to be everywhere at once. It flows where it's needed most. Here's another one. Zhizu buru, zhizhi budai. Know contentment and you won't be humiliated. Know when to stop and you won't be endangered. In our culture, there's no such thing as enough. Enough followers, enough productivity, enough achievement. The goalposts keep moving because the game is designed to never end. But Laozi is saying the ability to recognize enough is a survival skill. Think about your phone. You check it one more time before bed, then one more, then one more. You can't stop because you haven't defined what enough looks like. You're scrolling toward a finish line that doesn't exist, or your work. One more email, one more task, one more project. The grind never stops because you never gave yourself permission to stop. Laozi isn't telling you to be lazy. He's saying if you don't build in stopping points, the system will run you into the ground. And here's maybe the most counterintuitive one. Ru Ruo Sheng Gang Chang. The soft and weak overcome the hard and strong. We worship toughness, mental toughness, pushing through, no pain, no gain. The myth that if you just force yourself hard enough, you can power through anything. But what breaks first? The rigid branch in the storm or the one that bends? Think about the last time you burned out. Was it because you weren't strong enough? Or was it because you were too rigid to adapt when things changed? Flexibility isn't weakness, it's durability. So how do we actually practice Wu Wei in a world that demands constant action? Let me give you a framework. 5 steps. Step 1, subtract something. Right now, today, not next week, not after this project. Today, look at your calendar. What's one thing you can remove? An unnecessary meeting, A commitment you said yes to out of guilt. A notification that interrupts your flow. Wu Wei starts with making space. You can't flow if there's nowhere to flow to. Step 2, distinguish between pushing and riding. Before you start a task, ask yourself, am I forcing this or am I working with momentum? If you're writing and the words won't come, that's a sign. If you're trying to fix a relationship by talking more, when silence is needed, that's a sign. If you're staying late at work, but your brain checked out 2 hours ago, that's a sign. Learn to recognize the difference between effort and friction. Step 3, go low. Water doesn't climb. It doesn't compete for the high ground. It goes to the lowest place, the place everyone else ignores. And from there, it nourishes everything. What's the lowest priority task on your list? The boring foundational thing you keep skipping? Sometimes that's exactly where you should start. Because when the foundation is solid, everything else becomes easier. Step 4, build in stopping points. Not rewards, not breaks you have to earn, actual stopping points. 15 minutes in your day where you do nothing. No phone, no productivity, no optimization. Just sitting, just being, just letting your nervous system remember what it feels like to not be on. If that sounds impossible, that's exactly why you need it. And step 5, redefine success. Right now, you probably measure success by output. How much you got done, how fast you moved, how much you achieved. Wu Wei asks you to measure success differently. Did you maintain your rhythm? Not your pace. Your rhythm. A rhythm can be slow. A rhythm can include rest. A rhythm is sustainable. Pace is about speed. Rhythm is about duration. Which one do you actually want? Let me leave you with a few questions. What's one thing in your life right now that you're holding on to simply because you started it? Even though it's draining you, what would happen if you let it go? When you think about your goals, is Suriname the Spheri? Are you chasing more or are you chasing longer? Because those aren't the same thing. And here's the big one, where in your body, do you first feel the signal that you need to stop? Is it in your breath, your shoulders, your speed? Most of us are so disconnected from those signals that we don't notice them until we're completely fried. Wu Wei is about listening before it gets to that point. Laozi wasn't telling us to be passive. He was teaching us to be strategic, to understand that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop pushing, to recognize that the path of least resistance isn't laziness, it's intelligence. To remember that water, which seems weak, carves through mountains, not by force, but by knowing when to flow, when to pool, and when to simply be still. So here's my challenge for you. Tomorrow, try this. Pick one moment where your instinct is to push harder, to add one more thing, to force a result, and instead pause. Ask yourself, is this me pushing or is this momentum? And if it's pushing, let it go. See what happens. Because maybe the answer to burnout isn't doing more better. Maybe it's learning finally to do less, beautifully,